Open world games. We love them. Some of us are sick and tired of them, but overall, we love them. Look, I'm not here to just regurgitate information that's already been put out there about the cons of open world games, or how too many game developers are out to re-innovate them and are just searching for an easy way to make a quick buck. But I mean, who could blame them? There are so many genres and subgenres that can revolve around an open world. Sandbox games like the Just Cause series, adventure games like the Far Cry series, open world RPGs such as the Outer Worlds, the Elder Scrolls franchise, and the Fallout series. Like, damn, that's a lot of us. Some of these genres literally have open world in the name. Like, what? That's crazy. But did you all notice something about those games I mentioned? Of course you did. You're all fucking smooth brains. You see, all these games took an open world concept and found a way to have the game revolve around the world. They filled these worlds with life/immersion, detail, and overall content within the open world, not just the main narrative. And the most important thing of all, something to do after you completed the main narrative. Except for the Outer Worlds, because once you finish the game, you can't actually return to the open world. This sucks because there's a lot of stuff to do within the mini galaxy you're in, but from a lore perspective, it makes sense. Anyway, we'll refer to the essentials I just mentioned as the open world score for now. Games like Mafia 2 and the recently released Rage 2 are open world games that failed in one or more of these aforementioned important essentials. Mafia 2 had a great narrative and good gameplay for its time, though once you deter your attention away from the storyline and attempt to free roam, you'll notice there's really nothing to do. There are some amazing minute details within the open world, such as people fixing their cars, police pursuing to find/arrest you for hit and runs, running red lights, openly carrying around your firearms. These are really great, and many game developers forget to incorporate this into their new releases today. I mean, it's not that they forget to, it's more like that they don't want to. Even Mafia 3 downgraded on the pseudo-realism that took place in Mafia 2. Even though the city was full of people and the streets were busy, there was really nothing to do aside from attempting to complete the narrative. The story is also broken up into chapters, not missions or objectives, so once you complete the final chapter, you're done. Zip nada, you can't go back into the open world. They lock the gate, so to speak. But this is kind of a good thing, because most people will be so invested in the story and the fun chapters that you probably won't even attempt to free roam anyway. Hell, that's exactly what I did. Until, of course, someone told me to try to free roam. If this game was just a linear experience, I think we'd all enjoy the game even more. Especially when you eliminate the amount of fucking driving you do. It's like the only purpose of this open world is to show off these sexy ass cars and how big the map is. Like seriously, it's fucking New York driving simulator up in here. Like, no Joe, I don't want to drive to your house, then to the bar, then drive all the way to the bank to shoot some cops. Like, come on Joe.
What the hell's wrong with you?
This game receives an open world score of 2 out of 4. The world is full of detail and life, but lacks content outside of the main story, and there's no option of returning to the open world after the game is complete. Of course, that's for a good reason. There are plenty of good games that follow a linear pattern and still have the ability to be immersive, fun, and tell a great story. The Call of Duty campaigns have practically perfected linear storytelling and fun gameplay. I mean, the stories are not the best, but the gameplay is fun and the delivery of anecdotes are done in an easy to digest fashion. So all is good. Games like Katana Zero, Sekiro, the Halo, and Tomb Raider games are all great examples of great linear storytelling in games. Now, jumping back to the aforementioned Rage 2, it's an overall mediocre game, but once you dive into the open world aspect of the game, you'll notice how unnecessary having a vast and endless world really was. Similar to the Mafia games, you'll be doing a lot of driving to get to the action, but the difference being is that there's legitimately nothing to see when driving on these roads. The world is absolutely dull, even compared to that of some of the worst open world games to date. The detail doesn't even compare to that of Mafia 2. Occasionally some enemies and terrible side objectives may pop up, but that's about it. The only saving grace for this game is its combat. Just about everyone can agree that the combat within this game is phenomenal. But again, the open world doesn't receive a checkmark in any of the open world score categories. The world is not full of life or detail, and once you complete the game, you're left with an empty wasteland. I mean, you can attempt to upgrade your cars, weapons, and abilities, but it wouldn't be worth it. So we'll just give this an open world score of 0 out of 4. Mafia 2 and Rage 2 are 2 prime examples of how not to do an open world game. I can't really think of a perfect open world game off of the top of my head, but I know that one thing is for sure. Not all games need an open world, and not all games should have an open world. I'm not saying we should just completely scratch open world games because there are so many good ones out there. Most of the genres in which open world games are prevalent in are thriving as a result of such games being released. RPGs are a great example of this. Game series like Fallout and the Elder Scrolls franchise have aided in popularizing the genre over the years. Specifically, games like Fallout New Vegas, Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion were massive successes. And in recent years, Fallout 4 and Skyrim were very influential and are still played to this day. So, game developers, please, if you want to make an open world game, do it right. What I said in this video was just surface level shit anyway. I'm no influential game developer like the writers, concept artists, and gameplay mechanic developers for Half-Life 2 were. So take everything I said with a massive grain of salt, but still, don't just fucking make an open world game just to make one. And with that said, I guess my content is just getting progressively worse. I'm starting to make quote-unquote actual videos now and giving my opinion on stuff. What the fuck? What is going on? This coronavirus shit is just really getting to me.
Even in my dreams, I can scheme a way to make her mine. Cause I know she's living fat. Her boyfriend's tall and he plays ball. So how am I gonna compete with that? Cause when it comes to playing basketball, I'm always last to be picked, and in some cases never picked at all. So I just lean up on the wall or sit up in the bleachers with the rest of the girls who came to watch they man ball.